Hello, fellow beekeepers, and welcome to another edition of Live at the Hive. The reason I look a few weeks older than I did last time you saw me is because we've had a little bit of a blip. Well, one or two reasons. Obviously, the usual things with amateur beekeepers. The other one is that I've treated everything with Apiguard. Now, some of us has also been in Aimondia, which of course is added to time, and there it is. You know, we are all amateur beekeepers. Right, today we might have a little bit of a weather problem because the temperature is about 11 degrees, and according to the weather forecast, the wind is supposed to gust up to about 53 miles an hour. It's not too bad at the moment, but certainly we've had leaves blown off the trees and everything like that in the last a few minutes. Also, I can feel a few spits in the air. It's a little bit threatening, but we'll see if we can get through it if we can. Now, I'll say I've been treating for Apiguard. I'd rather not do it, but the problem is at the moment my bees are not showing real signs of Varroa resistance, and my concern is, of course, that if I don't treat, then I may lose some bees, which of course I'd rather not have. So, in conjunction with the Woods for Green Association, where we think we have got a few colonies that are showing Varroa resistance, I may well requeen certainly half of these next year from that stock. Right, so what have we got for you? 3 days ago, we removed the Apiguard and turned the crown boards upside down. We didn't go into many colonies, just looked into a few, but there are 3 here that we haven't touched at all. And I'm hoping, if I possibly can, to go into each of them because they're in rather different conditions. We've got this colony here, which, because it's on a long rail, I'm running the so-called warm way, which I tend to call the wrong way, but it's only a bit Sussex humour. This one here is running the cold way. Both of those are full colonies. Both gave probably £100 of honey each over the 2 extractions, may even have been more than that. And then we've got a slightly smaller colony here, and what I'm hoping to show you, I'm not saying I'm going to, but what I'm hoping to show you is the different ways in which they may have set the colonies up for the winter, because if you imagine a frame like that and the entrance here, what usually happens with single brood chamber colonies is they tend to put the brood closest to the entrance. That's where the brood nest is, and that of course is where they start to cluster if the weather gets cold. So that's what I'm hoping to show you. I have to say, at 11 degrees, it's not the best of conditions, and I'd certainly, when it's blustery like this. 3 days ago, it was up to about 20, and it was calm and it was nice and sunny, and there were 27 colonies we took the Apiguard trays out of, turned the crown board over, looked in 1 or 2 of them, and I don't think we got one aggressive sting. I think it was just one sting. That was accidental. I'm expecting that to be a bit different today. But what I will say is that if they do get fired up for whatever reason, then we'll close down the bees, and we might carry on with a little bit of a chat. Now, I said it was windy, it's blustery. It may mean that perhaps you can't hear me too well. Certainly Martina, who's 3 yards or 3 meters away, whatever you want to call it. She is struggling to hear me anyway. So let's get into the colonies and see what's happening. The sun's just beginning to come out. The wind has dropped just a bit, but how long for, I've absolutely no idea. But it's typical of a sort of showery day. And, you know, you can't predict anything for a few seconds, let alone minutes. One thing you need to do when you get windy weather is to make sure that your veil has got a chin strap on. Otherwise, it will the veil will blow off over your face, and then you can't see anything. So smoker is still going. Oh dear. It wouldn't half help if I had some glasses. So I will put them on. They're fairly useful bits of kit when you're struggling with your eyesight. And through those trees there, I can see a big black cloud. So we'll try and whiz on if we can. Yeah, I'm running this one the warm way so that I can stand at the back to operate it. These others I normally, of course, work from both sides. So let's just have a look at the entrance. Not flying too well, but I wouldn't expect them to. I will give them a little bit more smoke than I normally do, simply because I'm expecting them to get just a little bit fired up. Now, don't forget, a commercial beekeeper has got to handle bees in all sorts of weathers, whereas probably an amateur beekeeper might say, I'll do that tomorrow. So let's just have a look at this. Like I say, I'm going to give it a bit more smoke than I normally do. I've got to remember with this one that the bees are running, the frames, sorry, are running that way. Now, when you haven't got a queen excluder, just check to see if the queen's on the underside of the crown board. She isn't. And I'm going to leave that there over the entrance. What I better say is that we've had quite a flow from the ivy in the last 10 days or so, to the point where you can actually smell it in the apiary. There may well be a slight contamination with the thymol as well, but I think it's mainly ivy. Now, because ivy granulates solidly, and despite what people or some people will tell you, it can be a problem in the winter. And what can happen is that because it granulates, if you get a big lump of solid honey right next to where the bees are, if there's no liquid, in cold weather they go into tight cluster, and they can only use the food that's close to them, so it's above or to the side. And if you get an extended period, perhaps a week or 10 days of really cold weather, they're clustered. If all they've got is ivy honey, what they can do is starve with, obviously, isolation, starvation, because they will not go across even a small area with no liquid honey at all to get to what they need. Now, in warmer weather, what they do is they break cluster, and they can either go out to get water to bring in to liquefy the granulated honey, or they can forage within the hive, within the brood nest, and bring back to where they are the liquid liquid honey. There's one bee that showing me don't really want me here. In fairness, I have kept this colony open a bit more than I should have done. But how else do you explain things to beekeepers if you don't have the bees open? Now, what I'm expecting here, and I haven't looked at this colony for several weeks, probably 6 weeks or so in the brood nest. What I'm expecting is the already I can tell they don't want me to be here. Yeah, what I'm expecting is all the food to be in this sort of area here with a brood nest in there. I will lift that out. That's heavy. Crikey, that's heavy. And I'll see if I can get the next frame out. Yes, I am giving them quite a bit of smoke. And now we're into the brood, look. But in amongst the brood, there's brood in all stages, so that's good. And there's also liquid food in amongst the brood. So they brought some in probably today, I would think. It wouldn't have been yesterday because we had a horrible day yesterday with a lot of moisture, either sort of drizzle or it's quite heavy rain at times. Now I've got one cell here that I've noticed it doesn't look that, oh sorry, yeah, it's just the capping, just that little bit of capping there. I thought there was something wrong with the larva. I'm still looking. That's a brilliant comb for looking at both fowl broods. Sealed brood here for signs of AFB. Unsealed brood just about filling the cells up. Look for EFB. And once you get a colony like that, a frame like that, there's another one. Look. Once you get a frame like that, you can be fairly certain that there's no fowl brood in here, and you can forget it. Now that side there and that side there is probably half a frame of brood, something like that. Don't forget, one frame of brood becomes 3 frames of bees, and that will help add to the winter bee population. So what I am going to do is put that back now. Although that was pretty good, I'm afraid I'm not trusting anything this time of the year. So let's just have a look at that. That's all food there, look. And look at that honey, nectar at the bottom that is being processed and being sealed. I'm not going to shake bees off because I think that would be unkind. So let's just have a look here. I'm expecting, we got eggs and young larvae there. So she's still laying out to the edge. And of course, what they're doing is they're putting the food round the brood. I have to say, this isn't quite as I expected. I expected these frames to be over here a bit more, but it may well be that that they've got pollen over there. I don't know. I will just go across and try and show you.
There's been a lot of pollen coming in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. I think Martina's seen the queen, but I haven't. Oh, yes, I have. Yep. Yeah, there she is. A bit on the yellowish side, but she's going to have to wait till the spring, if indeed she gets through. Now, this is interesting because this colony has been on what I call the wrong way, the warm way, all summer. Yet they've got an arch of food round here and brood right up to this side. And I would have expected to be a little bit of food each side. I'll tell you what I will do. I'll actually clip and mark that queen if you don't mind. Tina, can you get the get me the box, please? Let me just have a look. Yeah, scissors, clip, and right, there she is. Right, so I'll just clip this in my normal pace. You've all seen me clip and mark a queen, haven't you? Sorry, I'm not going to do it at my own pace. I'm going to do it at Martina's pace. Right. Now, can I do a little bit of a plug?
Go ahead.
Right. I sort of, not quite jokingly, but I mentioned to Jill Smith at Thorn about the pink marker pen, and that I find it a lot easier to see. And then I found out that they'd got it in their catalogue, pink marking pens, and what they've done is they're giving a donation of £1 to Breast Cancer UK for each pen that's sold, which I think is a really good gesture for a very good cause. So well done, Thorns. They've always been innovative, and that's another instance. So here she goes on the comb. She's still trying to get out. There she is. I have no interest in thorns, by the way. It's just that if it helps beekeepers by having a colour that they can see easier, so much the better. Now, some bright spark is going to say, oh yeah, but it's not one of the international colour markings. But quite frankly, I don't know many people who do use the international colour markings. They tend to use the markings for seeing the queens. Right, now we're getting a little bit.
Do you write the queen age on the notes then, Roger? Because I use pink as well, and just keep the queen age in my notes.
You don't use pink, do you?
I do. Yeah.
Where on earth you get that idea from? Oh right, yeah. But here you see we've got a typical sort of result of yellow queen. There's a lot more brood here than I would normally expect. I'm not necessarily saying that's wrong, but I think with all the extra bodies, they will need more food to get through the winter. That frame's beginning to feel quite a bit heavier. And what have we got down here? Let's just have a look. Yeah, we got eggs and young larvae there, probably no more than about 5 days old. And a little patch here. Now, this is absolutely strange. I wouldn't have expected this, because in my experience, what they normally do is put the brood to the front, but they've chosen to put the food to the front. But they have got pollen here, look, quite a lot of pollen. Right, okay, I'll just take one frame out. Oh, what I will do then is just take the front one, because don't forget it's right next to the entrance. This feels lighter. Yeah, this feels lighter, look, and it's not quite so full up here, although we have got pollen here. We've got quite a lot of pollen. If you can show up here, Tina, Martina, sorry. We got Tina and we got Martina. One's a sort of cheaper version of the other, I think. But anyway, let's not go down that road, shall we? This has got a yellow hue. Now we do have quite a bit of ragwort and fleabane locally, and they are typical of what bees do when they're in bloom. I'm a little bit hesitant. I'll tell you why. Because there are a few cells here, look, that are just starting to granulate. Now that is quite typical of ivy honey. It very often granulates before it's sealed. Now that one's light. I'm expecting this one to be light as well. I have to say they're behaving pretty well. Yeah, this is very light. Yep, okay. Oh, look, Steve, can you tell me if you can see this? Because we've got some here that's just started to crystallize before it's sealed.
Yeah, I can see that.
Can you see that?
Yeah, clearly, yeah.
Now, this of course, is a trouble, and you can't do it, but I can sniff ivy nectar.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I wonder what the other side's like. Right. Okay. But you see the gap there? There's nothing in that. That's where the entrance is. Okay. Right. That's showing you a little bit about the one that's run the warm way. I'll close that up. Thank them very much for their kind nature. And then we'll go on to another one, which will be running the so-called cold way. And for any newer beekeepers, warm and cold isn't particularly relevant. Interestingly, I mentioned Aimondia. I must have had at least a dozen beekeepers come and speak to me, many of whom I've never met in my life, and they obviously recognised me, and they congratulated BIBBA and me on doing both the videos and the live at the Hive. Now, these were people from all over the world. There was an Australian gentleman, another one from South Island, New Zealand. There were quite a lot from Scandinavia, as you would expect. And there was one gentleman from Barbados. Now, I looked quickly online because I thought to myself, I wonder how much it cost him to get there. And the flights from Barbados to Copenhagen are pretty expensive. So, well done. And if you are listening, I'm sorry I didn't gather your name. If you are listening, please just put something on the online, and perhaps we can get a little bit of a discussion going between Bajan beekeeping, I think we call it, Bajan beekeeping, and everybody else. Right, so this is running the cold way. So I'm going to work this on the other side. We've had a little bit of break in the cloud, so it's now a little bit warmer and a little bit brighter.
Roger, I noticed that both of these haven't got supers on. Are you expecting that they'll get through the whole winter with just the brood, or are you going to have to help them?
Yeah, I normally don't run on double brood chambers, as you know. I have got a couple here, and perhaps when we've finished, I'll explain again what I'm doing. Yeah, with locally adapted bees, I can work on a single brood chamber quite easily. That one there, I have to say, I think I will be looking at that. Probably be around about the turn of the year, because in my experience, yellow queens, they are always more prolific. they produce more brood. The more brood they produce, the more food they eat. Not only for the brood, the development of the brood, but also the adults. So that one might need help. If you can remind me a little bit later, I'll tell you how I manage it, because I don't feed fondant. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So in this apiary now at the moment, there's 27 colonies of bees, and I didn't feed any of them last year. There might have been a couple less because I picked up a couple of swarms, or had a couple of swarms come in this year. I didn't feed any of them, so I was probably down to 24, 25. Incidentally, everyone got through the winter apart from one that had a queen problem, and that died out. I'm not expecting to feed any of these either, or if I am, just a little bit. The ivy is a little bit of a problem, but I'm just hoping that, fingers crossed, that I can manage that. Now, one thing I didn't do with that last colony, but I opened it up anyway. If you don't go into your colony, and I do see online, even probably a month ago, people saying, "Oh, you shouldn't go into your bees now." Why on earth not? Why on earth not? Firstly, you're learning, and secondly, you're helping the bees do what they want to do, not just humans imposing their will on the colonies. One thing I didn't do, which I should have done, and I usually do, is just lift it to heft it, like so. Both sides as well. That is right on the point of whether it needs a little bit of a top up now or not. You can't feel that weight, of course, but I can. I think we're going to get a bit more. I think we're going to get a bit more ivy. So I'm going to leave these as they are. One of the things I didn't mention, which I should have done, was that one of the reasons I think if you're dealing with Apigard, or you're treating with Apigard, one of the things you need to do is to check what the bees have done after the Apigard, because what I've found over the years is if you've got a colony running that way, you put the Apigard immediately over the brood nest. What I found is that the bees, or in about 50% of the cases, the bees tend to migrate the brood nest over to one side or the other. And then, of course, you take the Apigard off and the brood nest stays there. Now, that's okay if the weather is always going to be reasonably good, or perhaps you've got holes in your frames that the bees can go through. But if you haven't, what can happen is the bees are one side. If they're in really tight cluster when it's cold, if they run out of food on the last frame that they're clustering in, and also right up to the edge of the box, because they're in cluster, let's say we've got a frame there, just for argument's sake, there. If you haven't got holes in your combs, and quite honestly, most of mine have got holes in, the bees can't get over, under, or round the edge of that comb there, and they can starve here with a load of food this side. So you need to be careful. And what I will be doing this next week is going around all of my colonies and centralizing them. But don't just, well, what I mean by that is, if you've, let's say, got one frame of food one side and 5 the other, just move a couple of frames over. Don't just move them over like that, because bees tend to put pollen closest to the brood. So any frames you take out of this side, just turn round and put in that side, so the bees have got some pollen at both sides. It's only a personal thing. I doubt if you'll find it in books. Well, you might in one book, but you can publicise that better than I can. Anyway, I'll go charging in. I won't go charging in, but I'll open this one up now. See what we've got. Right, now, again, look at the ground board. Right, now, look at it. Look at it. And there's more bees this side than there are that side. I may be wrong, but I suspect the brood nest is more in this area here than that one. So I might need to move one or possibly two frames over, but let's just have a look and see. Now these are pretty quiet. They're not flying very well, but at 11 degrees you wouldn't expect them to. Now don't forget, I think this colony needs just a little bit more food. I'm in the process of changing my mind because I think I've already spent quite a bit of time. I don't think I'll mess about with a smaller colony. That feels heavy. That feels heavy. I can just about get that out, I think. Right. Now that is all food and pollen, you know, liquid food and pollen. And you can see what the bees have done. They always start putting the honey at the top, which is what they've done here. We've got a few cells here with crystallized honey in, and what I was going to say was that you can see they're sealing it on the way down. Now I've noticed a hole in this comb down at the bottom there. That of course will help them get from one comb through to another. I will put that back. This is actually looking slightly different than I expected it to. This seems lighter. I wouldn't mind betting there's brood on this one. Yeah, I think we've got eggs and larvae in there, I think. No, we haven't. No, we haven't. So this one, I think, would need a little bit more food now. But of course, if you get a week's good weather, they're going to pile the ivy in, and they will be okay. Now, what I said, don't forget the entrance is down here. They've left these empty cells here for them to cluster in. The food is as far away from the entrance as possible. These are sort of things that we need to understand as beekeepers as to what bees actually do. So when you do handle a colony, certainly later in the season, don't turn it around like that, because the bees know exactly what they've got and where they've got it. Now, I'm happy with this colony being queen right. It may just be that the queen has gone off lay. And there's no brood in that. Oh, that surprised me. Yeah, so don't be alarmed if you've got a colony with no laying queen. You can tell if she's there or not. They're not roaring. I have to say I'm not particularly looking for her, but I can't do that and talk to you folk at the same time. I would have expected eggs to have been in there, but nothing. Ah, brood here, look, on the wrong side. Patterson, you've got it wrong again. That pleased a lot of people. Yeah, we got brood there, and it's in all stages. Right. Yeah. So that's the fifth one in. Fifth one in. Let's have a look on that side. We got brood on there. I'm not particularly going to be looking for the queen, but if Martina spots it, then I might clip a marker. This is interesting. This is where observation comes in. Can you see that, Steve?
No.
Drone.
There's a drone.
One drone.
What's he doing?
I don't know. He's obviously got a bit about him, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Ah, that's interesting. Sorry. All right, and we got eggs in there. Right. So we've got brood on 3 combs. That is food. No food. So we've got 2 and 2, 4, 6 that side. 2. So if I drop another couple of frames over the other side from this side, that will satisfy the needs of the bees. And it will centralize things and make it easier for them, hopefully during the winter. So what I'm going to do, I hope you notice this carefully. I'm going to take the outside 2 frames. It's got pollen there and a bit of pollen there. So this one I will be okay to put in the same way round. So that one, which I suspect is solid food, more or less solid food. So now I'm going to bring this across. What I've found is that when you get this problem with bees starving with granulated honey, it's usually after the turn of the year. Usually, because surprisingly, in this part of the globe, tend to get the colder weather after the turn of the year. So right now is their combs that were right next to the brood. I'm leaving them exactly as they are, and I'm putting the extra food in the other side. Now this we've done for live at the Hive. It would have been good to have done it as a video, so it's permanent. But there it is.
That's right, Roger. We can make a video from the segment.
Yeah, the quality isn't that great, though, is it, Steve?
It's fine.
Okay, I will leave it to you then. Incidentally, during the summer we did enough filming for we think about 40 videos, and we just started editing them. So be aware that there's some more on their way, and don't forget to have a chat with your beekeeping colleagues too and tell them about it, because people seem to be pleased at what BIBBA's done and the sort of down-to-earth nature of the beekeeping, which is similar to what a lot of beekeepers do anyway. Right, 20 minutes ish left. Do you want me to quickly go through another colony or not, Steve?
Yeah, if you've got the time.
Yeah.
Roger.
Okay. Yeah. It won't take too long. The only reason I'm going into this one is because I believe it's slightly smaller than those. If it's if it's about the same size, I might just as well abandon it and then have a bit of a natter about one or two other bits and pieces, I think.
Yeah. So while you're opening it, Roger, we do have one question in chat at the moment. Is if you've got
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Steve, I can't hear you.
Oh. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can, and that reminds me. What I should have said was that with the blustery conditions here, obviously with ash dieback, we are in a rural area, and a lot of the cables are overground. You know, if we get cut off, it's probably because there's an ash tree come down somewhere. Yeah, sorry, you were about to say.
Yeah, I was going to say there's one question in chat. I was going to, while you're opening that one up, about if you've got excess honey at this time of year, would you or have you put it in the freezer, stored it, and you're giving it back to the bees next year?
No. Why would you want to put it in the freezer? Yeah, unless it's unsealed, I wouldn't do that. In fact, I have heard, this is going sideways, I know, so I'll come back to it. I have heard from lots of people that you mustn't freeze honey. Well, I went to Switzerland, 2012, I think it was, and there was a beekeeper there, and they froze their honey. And I don't know why, but they did. I wouldn't have thought up in the mountains in Switzerland they would have had to, but they did. No, I can't think of any reason why you would freeze it.
So you just leave it in situ.
Yeah, but where are you going to get surplus honey? Probably if you aren't going to do anything with it, probably the safest place is to keep it on the bees somewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
But you know, when I get asked a lot of questions, and very often I'm either not giving all the information, not giving the line of thought of the person who's asking the question, or if it's relative to bees, I'm not actually there. And you know, locally, I've had people say, say they've got a problem with the bees or whatever. Can I go and have a look? And when I get there, things are very different than what they should be. It'd be nice to know if we got time left. If the questioner would let us know the reason I asked the question, because then it might help me answer it a bit better. But in general, if you've got sealed honey, I can't really see the point of freezing it. Somebody might have come up with a good reason. Well, let's listen to it. Okay.
Oh, I see. So yeah, Molly's got back. It's about surplus supers. So.
Well, they're in the comb.
So yeah, you've got
the honey's in the comb.
The honey's in supers, and you might have more than one super on. You haven't extracted it. Could you take it off and freeze it? You know, the second super.
I'd leave it on the bees.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I would. Yeah.
Yeah.
Leave the queen excluder in, I think. Otherwise, what can happen is certainly early in the year, the queen can get up into the super, line the super combs. I'm pretty easygoing. I'll sort of listen to anything and do quite a lot of things that other people wouldn't. But one thing I don't like is brood in super combs, for the simple reason that wax moths, especially warm weather, can just rip through it and wreck combs in no time if you've got cocoons in. But of course, if you've got virgin comb, they very largely leave them alone. So I don't I'd leave it on the bees. I mean, they're used to looking after it. They've done it for millions of years.
Good.
Yeah. But if it if it is sealed, then I think just leave it in an area where wasps and bees can't get at it, and you should be okay. Right. Ah, now this one looks stronger than I thought. This is where you really should understand your bees. Yeah. So I'll just quickly go through this, I think, Steve, and if there's nothing particularly relevant, there's no point repeating what we just done. Incidentally, if you come up closer, Martina, please. For those who don't know, SS is starter strips. So that frame didn't have foundation; it had a starter strip. Now, if you let's talk a little bit about that, because I don't think we're going to gain much from this. If you do want the bees to produce their own comb, yeah, let me close this up.
You're going to share us that frame, Roger?
Yeah, well, in a minute, yeah. If you are going to use starter strips, now it could be foundation, or it could be tongue depressors, or it could be ice cream sticks. It doesn't really matter. Some people don't even bother, but I suggest very strongly. I think they might have been objecting. Yeah. Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say, but the view is that that bees will produce what comb they want. Not as simple as that. They'll produce the comb in response to where you put it in the hive. Now, in a natural nest, they put drone comb on the periphery, and they always put. Well, I say always. Most of the time, they put worker comb in the middle, because, of course, that's what they want when they're at their smallest state. And the only reason they want drones is when the colony gets bigger. So, if you put a starter strip right in the middle, especially later in the season, the chances are that you'll get largely worker comb. If you put it on the periphery, on the edge, the chances are you'll get drone comb. Earlier in the season, that might change just a little bit, because, of course, towards the end of the season, they don't really need drone comb, so you may get worker on the outside. So you've got to be just a little bit in tune with the bees as to what they want. What you also need to do is to get it level, perpendicular with the combs too, because bees draw comb absolutely vertical. So if you've got your hive tipping up like that, they'll draw it down vertically. Now, also, what I found is that you need to get two good combs and put your starter strip in between two good combs, so that you get nice flat combs. If you've got bad combs, then all they do is just follow what's there. So I think that's all I need to say about that. Was there another question or not?
No, carry on.
No, carry on.
It'd be good to see the frame nice and straight.
Sorry?
It'd be good to see that frame.
Okay.
And how they've drawn it.
Well, I can't remember. It might be an absolute mess. I am going to give these just a little bit more smoke, because there were quite a lot of them that were coming and saying hello to me. Did I go down the other side? rewind, Steve. No, I didn't. No. The wind's getting up now. That feels heavy. That doesn't. Hang on, hang on, hang on. I haven't been stung yet, but this is where, by not wearing gloves, I can detect what mood the bees are in. All right, now that is all food. I might not get across this one. And the wind's getting up. There's a little bit of brood there. Ah, look at this. Look at this. This will interest you, Steve. Look at this brood here uncapped.
Oh, yes. Pink purple eyes.
Yep.
Good.
So that's what, 13 days old?
Yeah.
Some more that side.
There you are, Roger. You've got a candidate colony to keep an eye on.
Yeah. Incidentally, there's we're working on a video at the moment with parasitic mite syndrome, and I hope when we finish this, I can do a little introduction to it, and a closing thing. And I'm making the point that if you've got parasitic mite syndrome and no uncapping like this, you'll probably lose your colony. There's no way they'll become resistant. Do you want to get up close to this, Martina, please? Steve, have a look at that.
Yeah, there's plenty of it, isn't there? That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, in an ideal world, you'd have that on a mesh floor hive, so you could see.
I have got it on a mesh floor hive.
You have.
Yeah.
So you can check the insert boards and keep an eye on how many mites drop through and whether you get pupal exoskeletons as they chew them out.
I might have to get somebody else to do that for me. I tend to be a bit on the busy side.
Yeah.
There's a queen. Oh, yeah. She hang on, look, she's got an egg hanging out of her back end. So she's laying right now. Egg's gone now. Wind's getting up a bit.
The one way to check your bottom boards to save time, Roger, in the apiary is just to take a picture of it, the whole thing with your phone, and then when you get home, when you have more time, you can blow it up and have a look.
Oh, I've got a better idea. I bet if I send it to you.
Or you can send it to me.
Right, here we are. It's quite an old one, look. But see where it was? Right on the edge.
Yeah.
And look at all this. It's all drone comb.
Yeah.
Interestingly, with the flats on the top too. And look at the bee. Look at some of the bees. Look, they've got look, globules of nectar on them. Look at that. So that shows the nectar's coming in. These are actually stronger than I thought. So I think what we do, if you don't mind, we'll close it down there, and then we talk about one or two other bits and pieces.
Yeah, that's a very nice frame, though. Built from scratch.
Yeah, yeah. Martina, please come here. Look at this. Look, all this nectar is dripped out of those combs. That's all ivy nectar, I think. Would you like a taste?
Let them take it back for winter, Roger.
Take it back for winter, yeah. Right. As the lady with the question about the freezing the honey got back, or did I sort of roughly answer what?
She did, yeah. The question really, the freezing was a bit of a red herring. It was more about what to do with surplus supers. So if you know,
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
You've left 2 supers on, for example, haven't got around to extracting one. Would you leave it on the frame, and I think we answered it, which is to leave it on the hive.
Well, they'll look after it better than anything else. Right. Okay. So I will close that down. That's actually, I think, overall quite interesting. Now, if you like, when we do the weekly blog or whatever you do for, Carl does it, doesn't he? He can refer to that if he likes. I haven't got a problem. No copyright on it.
You mean the monthly article or the weekly blog?
Well, it doesn't matter. Either if you like, or just do a link. Hang on, we got a visitation from 2 border collies at the moment. There's Floss out there wagging her tail. I think she probably realises that both Tina and Martina normally have biscuits in their hands. I think that's what the issue is. Anyway, right, let's get around a little bit. And Martina, yep, can you use the handheld one? Yep. Steve, I've got 3 hives here in a row that appear to be double brood chamber, but this one certainly isn't. Look, you can see the queen excluder here. What that's got there are some combs that I've probably taken out of hives during the summer that have got a lot of honey in, and I put them in there. So this hive here is looking after that lot. So if I get a problem in the winter, you know, late spring or something like that, and some of the bees are going to be struggling a bit, they need a bit of food. Instead of feeding them, I'll just give them a comb or a couple of combs of honey from there. Now I know it's honey, it's not syrup, so I don't really want to get into the argument about syrup versus honey or whatever people feed their bees these days, or fondant or anything like that. I tend to use what's natural if I possibly can. So that's that one. These 2 here.
Sorry, Roger.
Sorry.
If you're doing that in winter, would you just scrape the cappings off to help them along, or just give it?
No, they will find their own way into it if they've got the strength to do it. If you get a point where a colony's right on the point of starvation and they are getting very slow, then they probably haven't got the strength to do it. But if they've still got a little bit of food there, then they should be okay. What I was going to say was, I've got another one over here. Look, that one's got a queen excluder on, so that has got exactly the same situation. But there are 2 over here. I can't quite remember what happened. I spent off if I looked in the record sheet, I would, but neither of those have got queen excluders on, so effectively at the moment they are double brood. But bearing in mind that I know my own bees, or most of them anyway, are the brood area is going to be down here. So if I do need a frame or two of food, I can take them from the outside of the top box.
Yeah.
And in the spring, probably what I'll do is if I've got, let's say, brood on 8 frames, I'll reduce them to single brood chamber. If not, and the bees are, and the queen's laying in that more than 10 or 11 frames of brood, what I'll probably do is take a nuke off it, or if I've got 2 or 3 the same, I will make up a nuke from a couple of 3 colonies. Now, I know some people have seen it before, but this one here is, whoops, smoke. They didn't like me talking in front of them, did they? Yeah, this one here is made out of a WBC, a brood chamber with just plinths around the outside. So there's no extra insulation or anything like that. Those boards are probably 12 millimeters, ½ inch, something like that. I'm quite happy for them to stay there like that. So
Good.
You're right. Now, one thing you need to be doing is if you're opening a colony, heft it, keep hefting it. So you, certainly for a beginner, because you know what's inside the colony, you know how much food there is there, you know how big the colony is, and that sort of thing. And all the time you're doing something like that, you're learning. Now, if you look around here, some of my hives are probably 70 years old or approaching 70 years old if they're not. And certainly that box that I've shown you, that one there, is very heavy. That one's a plywood one, and plywood, of course, is a lot heavier than normal timber. So I take that into account when I'm hefting. The modern beekeeper, if they've got a new kit, hasn't got to worry about that because they haven't got to take into account that some boxes can weigh twice the amount of others. And some of these older ones, they were probably made in the 1950s. And then, of course, with all the restrictions following the war, the timber wasn't sort of reliable. It was all sorts of stuff. I have come across boxes, full boxes, that are made out of 3 or 4 bits. You know, one plank, they just put 3 or 4 lots together. So that, Steve, I think is just about it.
Yeah, just a couple of questions. Let's finish off on. So Frank Corbett's asking whether you use castellated 11 frame spacers in all your brood boxes.
Yep, apart from the Patterson hive, which this one is, and they're 8.
Yeah.
So 11 in everything. Yeah. You know, the standard, what I call British spacing.
8 castellated in your Patterson hives.
8 in that. In the supers for nationals, I've got a few 11s that I use either for foundation or if I got damaged comb. And there's 7 in the Patterson hive one. So that is equivalent to 10 in a national, which is the same spacing as Mandy spacing.
Yeah, good. And last question was we were looking at the uncapping there. Amanda asked whether it's the only hive in that apiary which is showing uncapping. I think earlier you'd said yes, but you've got more down at the club apiary, right? Yeah, we got more of the teaching apiary, and I have to say I didn't expect to see that one there like that. It could well be that there are others here. Yeah. Yeah, want to keep a close eye on for next season. It's good.
Yeah, I think you're right. Interestingly, you can check on the recording, but I can't remember seeing any chewed out pupa. Is that got any significance, or with that amount, would you expect to see some chewed out pupa?
Well, sometimes you don't see them on the frames. That's why you need to look at the bottom board and see if there are any signs of pupa remains on the bottom board.
Yeah, but you'll see it being chewed out, surely.
Yeah, sometimes you do, but sometimes you don't.
Okay.
You're looking for my observations for chewing out and not on the brood frames. That's for uncapping. My chewing out is the exoskeletons on the insert boards.
Yeah. Interestingly, I think we gained a degree or two temperature wise, and a few of the colonies are starting to get a bit more lively. Oh, well, I'll tell you what I could do. I've got the no. Martina says she's running out of battery. Okay,
yeah, we're well over an hour. Shall we mention National Honey? Okay, yeah.
Very, 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 very briefly, this one here, which I think we followed through with live at the Hive, I think is now in a case where it's formed its own way of wintering, and I suspect, but I don't know. We got probably solid food in that box, mainly solid food in here, and the brood nest in that sort of area there. I don't know. It would be interesting to have a look at that. So perhaps we can do that again.
Is that a 6 over 6 over 6? Is it, Roger?
5. 5. Yeah. They're my own boxes, which internally they are half width of a national. So what I can get is 5 frames and a division board in. Yeah. So, yeah.
So we hope to see as many people as possible at the National Honey Show, don't we? Next.
Yeah. I don't mind doing publicity for the National Honey Show because it's a great it's a great event. Certainly, beginners can after their first year they can go and have a look at equipment. Perhaps buy the extractor that they would normally borrow from the local association. There are going to be a lot of workshops, which you have to book in, to the best of my knowledge, for all of them. I don't get involved with the workshops. I get involved with the lectures, and there's lectures on every day for what one might term general. So it could suit beginners or it could be the more advanced. And on Saturday only, the beginners lectures. There's also the Beecraft lectures, which are on Friday, and they are usually of a scientific nature. They have been put together later than usual this year for various reasons, and I don't really know offhand what they are, but they should be scientific. Usually, youngish scientists, youngish researchers rather, call it researcher scientists, call them what you like, telling us about the work that they're doing. Some of which, in fact, is quite interesting. But unfortunately, I get involved with the main program, and I just can't get down to the Beecraft ones. Now, the main program, they're always recorded, and they are released one a month for the next 12 months. So yeah, yes, there's lots going on. There's also the competition exhibits. So it's a good day out, or as some people make it, a good 3 days out.
Yeah.
There's lots of people to see. Some people you recognise, some people you won't. So it's a good time out. Unfortunately, they don't allow dogs there. they allow thumping great horses to belt round outside, but they don't let dogs inside, which I think is a bit unfriendly. Anyway, right, I've got to go.
Roger, what you've got to answer this one. This is a good question. Do you swap your boxes round and put the food under the brood?
No, never have. Never found any need to. I know some people do, and Carl and myself went up to. We did a one-day event in Suffolk a couple of years ago, and we got told off because somebody up there does it and advises it to other people. If they do and it works, that's absolutely fine. But the way I see it is that bees always expect the food above them, above the brood, not underneath. If you put it underneath, they've got to move it. So you might as well put it on the top anyway. Also, what I've come across are beginners who've been told to do it too late, so the bees don't move it, and then what happens is the wasps go in because it's undefended and just help themselves. Nobody has yet explained to me or given me a good reason why it should be done. Now, having said that, if some people do it and it works and it keeps working, then and it doesn't harm the bees, then carry on doing it. I really haven't got a problem with that. What I won't say is no, it's rubbish. I never rubbish anything. I don't think there's any point in that at all. Because if you've got something, a different way of doing things, you're going to learn things and you're going to make progress.
Yeah, very good. Thanks, Roger. I think we should wrap up there. We've been going.
Well, I think so, because there's four arms waving at me over there. Whisper Green, we got our annual supper this evening, and I think Martina wants to go and get home and get her new dress on.
Enjoy the evening then, folks.
Okay, thank you very much, and thanks very much for listening, everybody. And please, if you enjoy it, tell all your beekeeping chums. Thank you very much indeed.